The book's actual subtitle is The Only Money Guide You'll Ever Need, which I think is true because it actually has practical tips and tricks that you can implement straight away. It's got scripts on how you can talk to major financial institutions to help you tweak your various finances. And while there are other books out there on real estate or on investing or on retirement, on superannuation, on the psychology of money, this is the book that I think you should start with, or this is the book that you should build your foundation on, because this is the book that you'll actually finish. Because it's written so simply, it touches on all the key topics, and then if you really want to, you can pick up all those other books to start your journey. So in this video, I'm going to go through some of the key lessons that I learned in this book around budgeting, investing, real estate, and superannuation. For me, budgeting is an incredibly boring and passive process because you can't make more money through budgeting, right? You just learn how to waste less money from budgeting. It feels incredibly passive. However, it is an incredibly important step in your personal finance journey because it helps you understand where you are in terms of your money. You can see how much money comes in, you can see how much money goes out, you know how much money you need to set aside for your bills and your emergencies, and you will feel more in control of your finances when you have a budget. But it is a super lame process to go through, I admit. Scott Pape's budgeting approach is the one approach that I've actually been able to follow, stick to, and implement over all these years. I've tried the Excel programs, I've tried the apps. This is the one thing that worked. Now, the essence of his budgeting process is to set up 3 buckets. I'll let you look at the detail, but essentially it's around making sure you set up for your long-term future through your grow bucket, making sure you can handle everyday, monthly expenses through your blow bucket, and then having a Mojo account bucket out there, which helps you also in terms of emergencies, but also in terms of long-term happiness type things. And personally, I found this whole approach helps me quite well because I now know I need to have a certain amount set up in terms of my everyday transactions to cover all my monthly bills. The next key area I want to call out is around real estate, and this is where Scott Pape talks about the importance of getting your deposit sorted, and also he touches a bit on mistakes that people make when it comes to buying houses or when it comes to real estate in general, but then also around whether or not you should consider getting an investment property, which I thought was quite interesting because I always thought it's a good idea, but it seems like you should think that one through a little bit further. So when it comes to actual real estate, he calls out obviously the benefits are around you get to pocket all the gains, and it's essentially a forced savings plan for when it comes to buying your own house. Scott Pape also calls out some common mistakes people make when it comes to real estate, such as waiting for a crash, buying an investment property first instead of buying your house that you actually want to live in, or buying a house that you can't even afford to start with, especially considering interest rates are now going up. Now, the book isn't perfect. There are some sections in there where I was a little bit taken aback by the clickbaitiness of some of the titles that he had. For example, he has a section in there where he talks about how you can save $100,000 for a house deposit in 20 months. And you don't realize it until you read a little bit more in detail that he's referring to you being in a coupled situation. So one person earns money and you live off one salary, and the other person can save, say, $5,000 a month for 20 months to get the $100,000. But if you're a single person, that's going to take much longer. So just be conscious that he can tend to talk to you as an individual, but also jump towards talking to you as if you're in a couple. Suddenly things are much easier in terms of your finances. The final example I'll leave you with is a classic one, and I wish my parents had maybe seen this or known about this when I was younger to encourage me to get started investing much earlier. And it's this example where he calls out, say, someone who's 15 years old and they start investing $5,000 a year into the share market. Now, figure out how that is possible, but in terms of maybe they can work a little bit part-time, whatever it is, they're putting $5,000 a year into the share market between the ages of 15 and 24. At the age of 24, they stop and they start working and it's fine. Then you've got, say, a comparison of a 25-year-old who didn't invest at all, but at the age of 25, once they got a steady job, they start to invest $5,000 a year into the share market. They're both generating similar returns, but it turns out that the 15-year-old who started investing between the ages of 15 and 24 then didn't touch it at all, at the age of 60 would have $2.7 million in their account. Whereas the person who started investing at the age of 25 and just kept pumping $5,000 into the share market every year for the next however many years, at the age of 60 would have only $1.6 million in terms of investments. So hopefully you enjoyed that video, and hopefully you got some top tips and you're also considering buying the book. Like I said before, this is the book that you start with because this is the book that you'll most likely finish. All the other books you can read eventually down the track if you want to get more information. See you in the next video. Bye for now.